Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Matt.
I'm Winnie.
Today we're reading an article called Comics or Manga, something for every taste.
And speaking of comics or manga, did you or do you read any of those?
I didn't very much read either of those a lot, but sometimes I would read some comics, but not the cool comics with superheroes and stuff, more like Archie, for example. Archie is like a funny comic.
Right.
And it was easy to buy in Canada because you didn't need to go to a comic book store because you could buy it in most supermarkets.
Yeah, I was the same. I actually went to my local, for me it was my local stationery store.
Okay.
I was there picking up, school supplies, and back then it was 99 cents. And you could just, sneak in $1 and mom or dad wouldn't know. And I liked them because they were kind of like pocket sized. So you could kind of take them wherever you went. And I did like them because, like you said, they're all humans. So it kind of feels like you're reading a regular story about regular people. Whereas manga is usually, I feel like they're usually about people with superpowers or aliens.
Yeah, I think often they are not just normal everyday people. There's something special about them which makes them more interesting. And that is also often the case with many comics. But superhero comics and these Marvel and DC superheroes that you can read about, and now there are so many movies about.
Yeah, speaking of which, today's article we talk about how there's something for everyone. So let's get today's article started.
Many Taiwanese people grow up reading Japanese manga. The colorful characters, exciting stories, and art style are easy to recognize. But have you ever wondered how manga compares to Western comics? At first glance, they might appear to share many similarities. After all, both use images and words to tell stories. However, comics and manga also have key differences that make each one unique. To start with, comics have their origin in Western countries, while manga came from Japan. This cultural distinction influences many aspects of their presentation.
Hi there. Today we're looking at day one of this article, Comics or Manga, something for every taste.
All right, let's get it started. Many Taiwanese people grow up reading Japanese manga. The colorful characters, exciting stories, and art style are easy to recognize. That's true. You can kind of always know when something is comics and when something is a manga. Actually, growing up, I used to draw a lot of manga style things, even though I didn't read manga. It was just very popular with the girls,
Okay, well, I noticed, a lot of Taiwanese people are interested in, a lot of things from Japanese culture, and manga is one of those things that helps people learn and know more about Japanese culture as well. Getting back to the article, but have you ever wondered how manga compares to Western comics? At first glance, they might appear to share many similarities. Okay, so similarities, or similarity, the singular, it's a noun, and these are the state. This is the state of being similar. So what it means is the things that are the same. If they share many similarities, there are many things that are the same or are almost the same, that they look or resemble each other. An example sentence, Miss Carter noticed a similarity in the two students' homework.
Uh-oh.
So if the two students' homework are the same, then they're probably going to get in trouble with their teacher.
Yeah, it's a little sneaky. Or some people say that my sister and I look very similar. I don't agree with that.
So there's a lot of similarities between your appearance.
Yes, we are both very short. Anyway, let's go to Hanny.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。同学们喜欢看漫画吗？这2天的课程要比较日本漫画跟西方漫画的差异。标题里面的 Manga 就是日本漫画。那很多台湾人从小就是看日本漫画长大，它生动有趣的角色、精彩刺激的故事，还有艺术风格都很容易辨认。如果拿它跟西方漫画来相比，这乍看之下，它们也许看起来有许多相似之处。好，单字 similarity。它就是表达类似、相似处，是个名词。这边还有2个重点，第一个是动词 compare， 它可以表达比较、对照。我们以下介绍2个用法。首先呢，它可以当不及物用，后面接 to 或是 with 加名词，用来表示2者的相比，看看孰优孰劣，看谁比较好、比较差这样子。例如 ，How does their new album compare to their last one？他们的新专辑与上一张专辑相比如何呢？哪一张比较好呢？好，第2个，我们当及物用的话，常常会用 compare A and B 或是 compare A with B， 表达比较 A 与 B 的异同。好，举例来说 ，Gina's mother is always comparing her with her sister。Gina 的妈妈老是拿她跟姐姐做比较。好，再看到第2个重点是 at first glance， 表示乍看之下。那么 glance 它可以指一瞥、瞥见，也可以写作 at first sight 或者是 at first glimpse。举例来说 ，at first glance the plan seemed ridiculous。乍看之下，那个计划似乎很荒谬。好，那这句话课文中。
All right, thank you, Hanny. Continuing on with the article. After all, both use images and words to tell stories. However, comics and manga also have key differences that make each one unique.
To start with, comics have their origin in Western countries, while manga came from Japan. This cultural distinction influences many aspects of their presentation.
And of course, we have this word aspect, which means a feature of something. So, for example, you could say there are usually several aspects to any problem, meaning there are different ways to view this problem. There are different components of the problem.
Okay, we also have the word there, presentation. So, presentation is the way that something is set out or offered to someone else for consumption or for their use. In this case, it's how the comic is, or the manga is displayed to the person who is going to read it. That's the presentation of the comic book or the manga. An example sentence, the presentation of the food was just as good as its taste.
Right, so how something is shown to you, that definitely affects the taste sometimes.
It does, and maybe reading the comic, it affects how much you enjoy it, whether its presentation is good or bad, or has aspects that you enjoy.
Well, let's go to Hanny.
刚刚说乍看之下，日本漫画和西方漫画也许看起来有很多相似的地方，毕竟2者都是使用图像和文字来讲述故事。不过其实它们有着关键差异。首先，漫画起源于西方国家，那么日本漫画起源于日本，这种文化差异就影响到它们许多方面的呈现。好，单字 aspect 它就是指方面、层面。单字例句这边呢 ，Winnie 老师就有提到这个 component 的部分 ，component component 可以表达组成部分、成分、要素或零件。下一个单字 presentation 它是名词，表示呈现方式或者是外观。这边还有一个重点是 while 当连接词，它可以指而、然而，用来连接2个对比或相反的情况，相当于 whereas。举例来说 ，Some people prefer warm weather.While others enjoy cool weather. 有些人偏好温暖的天气，而有些人喜欢凉爽的天气。这话课文中。
All right, thank you, Hanny. Well, now that we learned a little bit more about manga and comics, we actually learned that there are some similarities and some differences. So, Matt, are you leaning towards which one you prefer?
I guess I've always kind of preferred comics because it's more what I'm familiar with, coming from Canada, a Western country where, comics are from Western countries and just what I'm used to, I guess.
Yeah, I think we all have ones that we are more familiar with. And I think I also was more familiar with comics, but I think this is kind of titillating me. I kind of want to see what a manga is like.
All right, well, we're going to find out when we go to the second part of the article, so we'll be right back.
One notable difference is the way they're read. Comics follow the left-to-right reading direction that's typical in much of the Western world, while people read manga from right to left, which follows traditional Japanese reading patterns. The two also stand apart visually. While comics are usually printed in color, manga are most often black and white. But the differences go deeper than color alone. In fact, if you compare comics and manga side by side, you'll immediately notice the contrast in artistic approach, each with its own style expressed through every carefully drawn line.
Welcome back. So today we're talking about manga and comic books, and before the break, we talked about how they are seemingly very similar. They have a lot of similarities, but there are also some differences. You know, first of all being that manga are from Japan and comics are from Western countries, and that leads to some other differences.
Continuing on with the article, one notable difference is the way they're read. And of course, we know Japanese and English is not the same. So that's a very big difference.
That's right. Comics follow the left to right reading direction that's typical in much of the Western world, while people read manga from right to left, which follows traditional Japanese reading patterns.
Exactly. So continuing on with the article, the two also stand apart visually. While comics are usually printed in color, manga are most often black and white. And I mean, sometimes, back in the day, comics used to also be in black and white, but most nowadays you can usually see them in color, but manga is pretty much always black and white.
Yeah, I guess manga you usually see as black and white, like it looks like black and white comics, but that's what makes it manga partially.
Right.
And, you know, if you don't find that interesting enough, you could use it as a coloring book and color the characters
Don't do
yourself.
that. Do not do that. But yes, visually they are very different. And when we're talking about visually, our adverb, and we're really just talking about something relating to sight. So for example, you could say the pictures in the book made it even prettier visually. So we're using our eyes to see something. And yes, I think that's kind of why I didn't really gravitate towards manga as a kid, because I liked a lot of color.
I think most children are drawn to colorful things.
Yes.
And then maybe that's another sort of difference between a lot of comics and manga is a lot of, I think more comics are directed towards children or young people, whereas manga can be really for any age and adults.
Yeah, well, let's go and see what Handy has to say.
刚刚谈到这两种漫画表面上看起来很类似，可是其实有着关键差异。Matt 老师这时候用到 seemingly 这个副词，就表示看似、表面上的。好，课文提到一个显著的差异，就是阅读方式。西方漫画就是遵循西方世界大部分地区典型的从左到右的那种阅读方向，而日本漫画是从右到左，这就遵循了传统日文阅读模式。而两者在视觉上也截然不同，漫画通常是彩色印刷，那日本漫画最常用黑白。我们看看单字 visually。它是副词，表示视觉上的或是外观上。Winnie 老师说，他小时候喜欢丰富色彩，难怪他以前比较不喜欢，比较不会被这种日本漫画吸引。老师这时候用到 gravitate 这个字 ，gravitate，gravitate 当动词表示受到什么什么吸引，那后面常常会接 toward 或者是 to， 再加 somebody or something。好，那介华课文中。
All right, now let's get back into this article. But the differences go deeper than color alone.
Ooh, continuing on. In fact, if you compare comics and manga side by side, you'll immediately notice the contrast in artistic approach, each with its own style, expressed through every carefully drawn line. Oof, yes, that is very true. Because I have noticed that when you can tell when something is a comic and when something is a manga, just because I've noticed the shape of the eyes is very
there's certainly
distinct manga eye style.
Distinct manga eye style.
Yeah.
Even the manga hairstyles, I think, are something that's very special.
Bigger and better.
Yes. So this is part of the artistic approach. Artistic is an adjective and it means related to art. If something is artistic, you can mean it's used a lot of art. It's been created by an artist. It's something that is involving a lot of art.
Right.
If we talk about an artistic approach of something, we just mean the approach related to the artwork that is seen within the manga or comic. An example sentence, I can tell Luke is an artistic person based on his hobbies.
Oh, okay. So maybe Luke likes to draw a lot, likes to paint a lot. Everything they do has to do with using their hands and their creativity. So Luke is a very artistic person. All right. Well, let's go and see what Hanny has to say.
课文接着提到，除了色彩差异，西方漫画跟日本漫画在艺术手法上各自有自己的风格。Artistic 就可以形容艺术的，有艺术天赋或鉴赏力的。Winnie 老师在讲解时有提到 creativity 这个名词，则表示创意、创造力。介绍课文中。
All right, that is all we have for today. I'm excited to continue learning more about manga and comics because I'm quite familiar with comics, but not so much manga. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to talk more about manga and comics, and we will see you then.
Many Taiwanese people grow up reading Japanese manga. The colorful characters, exciting stories, and art style are easy to recognize. But have you ever wondered how manga compares to Western comics? At first glance, they might appear to share many similarities. After all, both use images and words to tell stories. However, comics and manga also have key differences that make each one unique. To start with, comics have their origin in Western countries, while manga came from Japan. This cultural distinction influences many aspects of their presentation. One notable difference is the way they're read. Comics follow the left-to-right reading direction that's typical in much of the Western world, while people read manga from right to left, which follows traditional Japanese reading patterns. The two also stand apart visually. While comics are usually printed in color, manga are most often black and white. But the differences go deeper than color alone. In fact, if you compare comics and manga side by side, you'll immediately notice the contrast in artistic approach, each with its own style expressed through every carefully drawn line.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 similarity 名词，表示类似、相似处 ；aspect 名词，表示方面、层面 ；presentation 也是名词，表示呈现方式或外观 ；visually 副词，表示视觉上的、外观上 ；artistic 是形容艺术的，有艺术天赋或鉴赏力的。文法部分，第一个学到动词 compare， 它是指比较、对照。我们以下要介绍两种用法，一个是它当不及物用，后面是接 to 或 with 加名词，用来表示两者相比，看看孰优孰劣。好，那另外一个是把它当及物用，常常会用 compare A and B 或是 compare A with B， 表示比较 A 跟 B 的异同。第二个我们学到 at first glance， 表示乍看之下。第三个学到 while， 它当连接词，可以指而、然而，用来连接两个对比或者是相反的情况。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Hey, 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 it's KiWi on the street. I'm Kiki. And I'm Winnie. Welcome to another episode of Fear Bomb. Okay, Kiki, it's your turn. But before we start, don't scream.
What is it?
It's okay, just calm down.
Don't scream.
Just don't scream.
Does it move?
And begin.
Why did you say don't scream? What is it? I didn't touch it yet. Okay, it's some grainy things again. It's rough and hard. it's a breakfast item.
What?
It's not?
No. What, you thought it was
Granola?
Nope.
It's not granola? Okay.
Wow, I thought you would get this right away. I feel like it's pretty obvious.
This is something I like. It's salt?
Yes!
Oh.
It's incredibly coarse rock salt.
Okay, I've seen my fair share of salt. I have never seen like such big pieces of salt. And I like salt. I'm a salt connoisseur.
I thought I was gonna trick you and say, like, you know, because I thought there's no way you're gonna get salt because it's so big. Okay, well, that's all we have for today. Remember to follow us on Instagram. Send us a DM or an email if there's something you want to say in English, but you just don't know how. Kiki, is there anything you want to say?
I can't wait for the next fear box. I'm gonna scare you with something. KiWi later!